Hello and welcome to another Denis Wick interview. My name's Brett Baker, and it gives me great pleasure today to talk a little bit to Josh Rzepka, all the way from Chicago or the Chicago area. So, looking at the various products that you might use, whether that be different mouthpieces for um, different trumpets that you have, or whether it's the different mutes that would be used for different purposes, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Um, I've got a couple different mouthpieces that I use, for basically everything. So this is the MM4C, right? And this the Heritage, and then is this one the Classic? And
Yeah.
this size, I mean, like this size for me is just, for all around playing is just perfect. And I love the fact that there's like different weights of this mouthpiece, because the response, the articulation, like the energy is totally different. So like if I'm playing, my general practice, everything, like I'm using this. If I'm playing a different classical, or if I'm, playing some big band stuff, it's like this is great. But like if I'm doing, more like jazz solo, bebop, energetic things, like I just love the response and the articulation, and like the slight difference in sound. And it feels the same, on the chops, because it's the same like cup and rim and everything. But like, I love the fact that I've got these two different options. It like, it really, it's great. I've got my pouch, and it's like they're always in there, because I want to make sure that I have the right one for the gig. And then whenever I'm doing anything like commercial oriented, then I've got this Heritage 4X. And like this also, like, there's a group I tour with called Under the Street Lamp. It's kind of like Jersey Boys. So we do like 50s, 60s, 70s classic rock doo-wop. And it's a lead trumpet book. And, there's like a lot of high E's, high F's, high F sharps, high G sharps. Like I wrote the trumpet book, so like it's all my fault. But but there's there's like there's a lot of like very, high energy, intense stuff. And for me, having this, kind of more, kind of compact mouthpiece, that for me lets me just play way more efficiently and get that energy. The main thing is like the articulation, when it defines the sound. Like the articulation is the start of the sound. So it's like first thing you hear, it defines the sound. So for me, that mouthpiece allows me to like define the sound the way that I want and need for like these commercial, gigs, and without having to like, work harder than I feel is necessary. Like you're always going to have to work in order to play high F. Like anyone who tells you otherwise is joking. But like you're always going to have to work, but you shouldn't have to work too hard. And that's why I switch between the two different sizes, because like for me, like this is just so much more efficient, and like lets me play the gig, and then at the end of the gig, like I feel great. So I love the mouthpieces. It's like, so the reason, I mean, like if you've seen my YouTube channel, I've got like 1,000 mutes, and I'm like all about mutes, and seemingly I would be like all about gear, but I really know like very little about mouthpieces, like the specs or this. Like all I know is like, oh, I love how this feels, how I can play and sound on it. Like, is the signal that I'm putting in versus the signal that I'm getting out, like, is it congruent? Is that like what I want? And for me, I feel like what I'm putting into the Denis Wick, mouthpieces is like what I'm getting out on the other end, and it just makes me very happy, like to be able to depend on that and know it's like, oh, like this is how I want to sound. So that's kind of the mouthpiece thing. And then mutes. Ooh, I could talk about mutes all day. I won't. But you did mention this, like there's the copper bottom straight and then the aluminum straight, and both of these are like staples for me. I love them. This was my first, like professional straight mute that I got, and I've had it for eternity. I've replaced it because the original one I didn't take so good care of when I was a younger musician. And then this copper bottom one is just like, the sound on it is so great. The articulation, the weight. So I love that for certain ensemble work, especially I'm a big mute guy. It's like when I look at the gig, then I think about what mute I need to bring, because it's all about what's going to work best in that musical setting, as well as the environment, like the hall, like the resonance and the projection of the hall. But this guy, this is like this mute, also a duplicate, because it's like been smashed, and like I had to get new ones because I travel with a lot. And I've been playing, like, this has been my go-to cup mute since high school. I mean, for like 20 years. It's not just that, like, oh, I'm a Denis Wick artist, like I have to play a Denis Wick cup. No, I've been playing I've been playing on one of these cup mutes for 2 decades. And like, this is always my like go-to cup, just because like it's such a great universal versatile sound. Everyone's got one. You always want to like match in a section. And for me, I use this actually like when I'm on the road, for soft practice. Like, I generally shy away from practice mutes. I'm not the biggest fan of like really like, and I have over 20 different practice mutes, and like, to me, all of them leave something to be desired. I'd much rather just kind of, play on a cup mute. Now, I know some people like absolutely love practice mutes. It's like, that's the thing. Like, we're all different. But this cup mute, I use this as a practice mute on the road. Put it tight on the bell. Sometimes I'll even take like a Crown Royal bag and like put it over the end if I want it to be a little softer. But otherwise, I just practice like soft with this. And soft practice is good for you. So it's like, that's kind of the benefit that I see. But that cup mute, I love it. I use it like constantly. And it's, I guess, like the great thing about all of the Denis Wick mutes is like, I never have to like think about or worry about them. It's like, I know they're gonna sound the way I want them to sound. They're gonna be in tune. So that's like my whole big gear spiel.
And what do you think inspired you more? Was it the people you were growing up playing with? Is it your colleagues in ensembles, or is it more teachers, or say recordings, or even YouTube videos?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, I think what inspired me the most definitely would be recordings, because that's like what sparked it for me. Like that was the catalyst for me to like love jazz. Listening to Dizzy and listening to Arturo, and then that was the catalyst for me. Learning to play classical music and Wynton Marsalis. With that Carnival CD, and like getting into like all these incredible artists over the years, and that was a biggie. But it's like, when everything that you just mentioned, I feel like they all inspired me at different times, and then like they came back. It's like you get inspired by albums, and then like you take it seriously, and then suddenly you start working with teachers, and like then they inspire you, and then you go to school, and then your colleagues and your classmates inspire you, and then you get back into the recordings, and it's like you get inspired by something else, and then your classmates become these famous musicians, and like they inspire you as well. It's like, it's kind of like this great, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about music. It's like everything is so well connected, just as we found out earlier, with your connection in Akron, Ohio. It's like music can bring you all over the world and connect you with everyone. And particularly now with YouTube, as you mentioned, it's like that. I spend a lot of time creating videos, but then I don't necessarily always know the impact that they have. I'm creating them, putting them out there, but then I get emails sometimes, or I meet some of my heroes and people that I know and respect and admire, and then they're like, oh, like, I've been watching your videos, or they email me and they're like, oh, I love this, like, and then it's like, that is just, to me, like, so inspiring. It's just this great like global music community. So I feel like the answer is yes to everything.
Yeah.
I feel like the answer is yes to everything, but it's like it's all happening at different points in time. And some of the lessons that I've had with teachers over the years, be it, you know, when I was in high school or when I was in my undergraduate or master's program, or even afterwards. It's like years later, sometimes I'm going to be in the practice room and I'm working on something, and then something just clicks, and like in my mind I'm reminded of something that was said to me so many years ago that was like filed away. At the time, like I didn't know what they were talking about. Like I wasn't ready to like take that information, but like somehow my brain like stored it away. And then I get to this moment and I'm playing, and then it's like, that's what that's what they were talking about. Like, this is incredible. And then it's like how incredible, how amazing is it then to be like inspired, you know, years down the road by someone who you worked with, like, you know, as a youth. So I feel like it's, you know, it's kind of like, it's kind of all over it, but like you got to be open to that. Like you got to be open, you know, to all of these possibilities. Otherwise, you're really gonna shut off a lot of the world from yourself.
That's fabulous. Thank you very much, Josh, for your time today. It's been fascinating getting to know you and what makes you tick. And so I'm sure we'll pick up again and do another interview on similar topics. So look forward to catching up with you soon.
My pleasure, Brett. Thank you so much.